What's up, guys? Savachi Productions back here again with number 2 of the Perseverance series. So hopefully you guys like the last video, just the story, the football scenario. If you haven't watched it, I would you can go watch it right after this video. They don't link, so it's not like you're gonna miss out on anything. If you didn't watch that one. But real quick to start off this video, so I am partnered with a company, and I'll put their link in description in the bio. But this is one of their merch. Okay, I gotta like show it off. Okay. So yeah, they're awesome. They're called Diamond Crew Apparel. That's Diamond Crew Apparel. And yeah, they're awesome. So just wanted to give them a quick shout out as we get to the second part. All right, the second series. But yeah, okay. So I wanted to kind of share a little bit about how I've gotten to where I am, and I might have to do like a two-part of this. I'm not sure. It depends on how much I share, because I don't want to hold too much of your guys' time. But maybe you're in the car right now. Maybe you're just you got time, right? So who knows? But so here's when the story starts. All right, buckle up. Let's get ready. Like I said in the first one, maybe that's my thing to start off my stories or anything. But by the way, the next video that I want to do, I'm gonna shout him out real quick because there's no way that he doesn't hop on here, right? Eric Stokes. I'm gonna have him share a perseverance story that he has when he persevered and got through something. Okay, that guy, awesome guy. He's actually going to be trying to do some similar stuff to this, as well as streaming or whatever it is. But he has a lot of aspirations and things that he really wants to do. And so this is kind of my way of kind of pushing him to do that. But love the guy. Hope he'll be on here, whether it's the next video or a video coming soon. But I know, after talking with him. But anyways, let's get to the story. So 5 years ago. Let's start a little bit before that. All right. So the last video ended like at the end of my senior year, around there, kind of going into senior year. And so I'm going to jump a little bit. All right. To 2 years after college. And so I'm sitting here. Okay. So, well, no, we can go a little bit back. So I'm in my, going into like the end of my senior year, and one of my dad's, friends, who was a vice president out in Seattle. He was coming back to Indiana to hang out with a lot of the guys. They all went to a Pacer game. They're all hanging out, and they're just talking. So he goes, how's your son doing? And my dad's like, oh, he's doing good, just trying to figure out where he's going to go to school and what his next stage in life is. And the guy's like, oh, like, cool, well, there's this program called Year Up. So I'm going to put a plug to Year Up real quick because, so it's Year Up, not Europe, it's Year, Year Up. And I got to shout them out because they literally are one of the reasons why I was able to get to grow in just like my soft skills, hard skills, confidence in speaking with people, just and the training that I got, the knowledge that I got through the program and the tests and all the hard working hours, and just learning the interviews that I was able to do. And the learning, like just being around like tons of vice presidents. Like I got to sit down with the former vice president and CEO of Walt Disney World. I got to and the vice president of Blackstone, and like, yeah, oh my gosh, it was just like crazy. I was like, what in the world? This is crazy. But they are awesome. They take young adults and they give them a chance to be able to make it in the working world, in the corporate realm. But they give them the tools and the knowledge to be able to do so. So plug there. I probably just drop their name down below because it needs to be. So not only with Diamond Crew Apparel, that's in the description, but also Year Up is in the description. But he was basically talking to my dad about them, and he's like, yeah, like I've hired people from this program and they're great. like young adults will walk into there and they'll come out professionals, ready to work hard and dedicated. And so my dad's like, oh, okay, I'll talk to my son about it. He's like, yeah, you gotta. So my dad comes to me, talks about it. I'm like, okay, like sure, I'll check it out. But I'm like, I kind of want to just go the normal route, just go to college. And I was gonna go to community college because I was very big on not getting in debt before I knew what I wanted to do with my life. And I think, which is sometimes a big mistake people make, is they just jump into college, they're in a bunch of debt, and then like year 3 in college they realize that they want to do something else, and so they just wasted 3 years and a bunch of money. And it's like, no, like it's okay to take a hit at the pride and maybe go to a community college and figure things out before you go and do something you really want to do. And I think a lot more people are doing that now, but during that time it was like, man, you must not be good with schooling, or or not dedicated enough if you went to a community college. But I encourage people to do that. But anyways, I'm like, yeah, I'll figure it, I'll check it out. So I watched some videos on, some success stories about Europe, and so I ended up, I was like, wow, like that's pretty cool. Like they've really changed some people's lives. And so I was like, all right, I'll kind of go after this. And so I go to, my parents and I drove to Chicago, went to an interview with them. And so at that time, around like 1,000 young adults would try to get in for each 6 month session. So it's like broken up into 2 6 months, that they have people in, but only 80 people get accepted. And so it's pretty hard to get into. So I do the interview, I do a paper, and write a paper or whatever. And so then you just got to wait. You got to wait to see if you get in. And so a month went by, another month went by. And then I was like, okay, well, I gotta kind of need to hear back soon, because I need to figure out what I'm doing in my next stage of life. Am I going to go to college? Or am I going to at a community college near IU University, or am I going to go to Chicago and try this out? And so I just wasn't hearing back. And at the time, so there was a guy by the name of Lincoln Gifford. Dude, he's awesome. Like, I've said this about, like, there's people in my life that I'm just like, they're awesome. And usually people that, like, if I'm sharing about you on my podcast, like, you've made a good impact on my life. So Lincoln Gifford, he's an awesome guy. Phil Sarpong, oh man, like I'm gonna try to have him on here as well. And then Gates Mayer, like, best friend, he'll be my best man, and Lord willing, if I ever get married, in my wedding and stuff. And so but love these 3 guys. But they're like, yo, Steve, like, we got an apartment, but we need to know if you're gonna stay with us, and we got to sign the lease. And if you're not going to, like, we need to know in the next week. So I'm like, okay, all right, let me, like, dang, I kind of got to make a decision. And so, all right, what happens next? It's like, what's the timing on this is, like, kind of crazy. But I knew that it was exactly, like, when I look back on my life, I'm like, God, like, knew what I needed to grow in. And so he, like, I look back at it now, I'm like, I'm glad that happened. But at the time I was like, yo, what? So basically, so I'm like, all right, well, they haven't hit me up for months. And so I'm like, all right, well, I'm going to go ahead and enroll into school, and going to sign the lease and go to college. My first day driving to my first class, okay, I get a call, and it's, hey, Steven, we just want to let you know that you were accepted into the program. And I'm literally like, no way. Like, no way that just happened. And so I literally had to tell them, like, I'm sorry, like, I just got a new place. I just enrolled in, like, I'm on my way for my first day for school. And I had gotten a job. There was a new opening freestanding Chick-fil-A that was being made, and I had been working for Chick-fil-A for like 3 years. That was my first job. And so I was asked to help, like, start, be on the first team or whatever. And so, like, I'm like, yo, like, there's a lot of things that just started. I can't just, and I'm a man of my word. Like, I'm not just going to dip out on these things. And so I was like, man. And so they're like, no worries. And so it was heartbreaking though. I'm like, man, like that felt like like a really good opportunity. But you know what? Like I'm just gonna trust in God and just kind of, keep moving forward. So 2 years go by, and I'm like, man, this is just tough. Like I don't feel like I really am figuring out what I want to do in my life. Like, and I just can't pinpoint, and I just feel lost. I feel just like empty inside because I just don't know what to do. And it was great though, like being with all my friends, and like I was part of a campus ministry there, who was awesome. And my spiritual walk definitely grew, and just reaching out every day, and like just going after God's heart, and that was all like awesome. That was so great. That was just, I mean, that's why you're a disciple, like to glorify God. But I was just like, man, like I'm just kind of lost though. Like I don't know, like all my other friends here though, apart, that I live with, or that's part of the ministry. I'm like, they're kind of going towards their goals. They're going to for business or nursing or whatever it is, and I'm just chilling here like kind of just doing nothing. And I'm like, man. So finally I go, you know what? It was one night, and I'm like, actually no. So what happened was, so I was in a class. I love speaking. I love public speaking. And if you can tell, right? There are times where like, and this will be another podcast that I'll do, but there are times where I'm like, ooh, like I had some like maybe I'll say it in the near the end of this because it is part of the story. It's kind of funny, but anyways, I do like public speaking. That's one of my, I feel like one of my strengths. And so I took a public speaking class, and this is what basically got, I was like, you know what, no, like this, I'm getting out of college, and I'm gonna try out to go for this program again. What happened was, so first assignment for the class was just like to get to know like who you are. And so I memorized my entire speech. I did like the eye contact where you have eye contact, and then you're kind of going over your points. You're loud enough. Your hand motion. You guys can see this. Like you're kind of doing the hand motions, and you're engaging with the people that you're talking to. And so I did like as great as I like possibly feel like I could have done. I could have done better, but like I felt like I did, like it was a B plus A, if not better, because that was my passion. That's like what I loved during that time. It was like the one class I'm like, there's no way I don't get an A plus or an A in this class. So then there was other people in the class that like didn't memorize it, which you don't have to memorize it, but like they didn't, or they were like looking down the whole time, or they were like quiet, and like so, which is totally cool because public speaking is one of the most feared things to do for people. But so I get my grade back, and the professor's like, well, no, I get my grade back, and so everyone's like, dang, Steve, did you get like an A plus or whatever, blah blah blah. And I'm like, I don't know. And I grab it, and I look at it, and it's a D plus. And I'm like, wait, what just happened? Like, if there's like, I don't know if you guys have ever thought you did really well, probably, but like did really well on a test or something, and then you get it back and it's just not what you thought it was. And like, but I was shocked, and then like my classmates were also shocked, and so I'm like, what is going on? So of course I stay after class to talk to my teacher, and I'm like, hey, like, can you walk me through why I got a D plus? That's the first grade, a big grade. So my grade in the class is now starting off with a D plus. And so I'm like, hey, like, why'd you give me this grade? And he's like, well, the format of how you had your paper, when I looked at it, because we had to turn our papers in, was just like not what, it just wasn't right. And he's like, but like if I was just grading off of your just like your speech in general and your deliverable, like, yeah, you would have got an A plus. And I'm like, in my head, I'm like, dude, like, what? Like, that's insane to me that, like, you would tell me that I would get an A plus off of like the public speaking part. Like in my eyes, I'm like, okay, you go to an event or a seminar and someone does a public speaking, they speak and they kill it. You're not gonna be like, but let me look at their paper. Did they was their outlines the right way? It's like, no. Like if you go point by point and if it's structured the right way and you're hitting your points and it flows, it doesn't matter what your paper, everyone's paper looks different because of like, and sure, if that was part of the grade where it's like, hey, I gave you a B because like this is part of the grade, then that's fine. But like to give me a D plus and yet tell me that I would have got an A plus on the public speaking, I'm like, okay, look, this is my life. Like this is gonna hurt me for going forward, and I'm gonna have to like. And so I was just like, man, this is, it rubbed me the wrong way, because then I realized your teacher truly has your life in the palm of their hands when they're grading with certain stuff like that. And then what was the tipping point was that the next time the teacher didn't even show up, and like then the teacher emailed the class like I just wasn't feeling it today. I honestly, like, I didn't even know that was a thing. Like I didn't know that that stuff even happens. So I'm like, okay, you know what? Like, no more of this. Like I'm investing. Like if you know me, I work, when I set my mind to something, I go after it with full force. And so that was when I made a decision. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna save up money, and then I'm gonna move to Chicago, and I'm gonna apply for this program. And so, oh my gosh, like it was tough. That was like probably the hardest year ever, because I worked in the morning. I worked at Chick-fil-A, or not Chick-fil-A, Qdoba, and I did catering. So I would like, and that was a tough job because it's on campus and you're having to like go to a spot and then roll like all the food and like carrying the food and like all around, like it was just like crazy. And so especially like on a hot day, and then after that, then I would like, so a few hours of that, and then I would like go and be on campus, and I'd be a part of like Bible talks or reaching out. And then right after that, from 6, or no, I believe it was like 7 p.m. to but it was like 5 a.m., something like that, 5 or 6 a.m. I was working at Planet Fitness during the night shift, and that was 5 days a week of just like that schedule, working 2 jobs and being a part of the ministry, and then like trying to figure out time to like just have time for myself or hanging out with friends. And but I was determined to make enough money to where like I didn't have to ask my parents or anything, but so I can move and go after this opportunity. And so it was tough. It was hard. There were days where I just wanted to quit. And I knew that there was eyes on me from whether it was my friends or leaders that were like, man, what's Steven really doing? Like what is he doing with his life right now? But I knew there was a goal at hand. I knew what I wanted to do, and I had to persevere through that. And so I ended up moving to Chicago 5 years ago, and that was tough though, because so shout out to Ben Cisneros and his family. They allowed me to like live with them for it was like a year and a half or something like that. And but for the first 6 months, so I applied again, and in my head I'm like, okay, I'm gonna get like a call real quick, because like I had already 2 years ago made it. Like so, why wouldn't I make it this time? But it's like, no, there's tons of new people that are going after this, and you already said no once, so like they could be like, well, we gave him the chance 2 years ago. Like, so all these things are going through my mind. So I'm waiting, and I was like, I can't, like my money's just gonna run out if I'm just chilling not doing anything. So I had to pick up like a pizza delivery job at Jet's Pizza, and then I picked up a job at Express, the clothing place. And it was one of those things where like, you move and people's eyes are on you, and then you're working like, those kind of jobs, and it's like you sometimes have to take a hit on your pride and just be like, this is what is ahead, like in front of you right now. And so I worked those for like there for 6 months. And then finally, like there were so many nights where I was like, man, God, like why, like did I just move here to Chicago and like not be able to like I'm just gonna be stuck, like that nothing's gonna be different, like I'm not even gonna get in. And then finally I got a call. It was random. It's always random, right? And I remember I was so excited that I got in, and I was like, you know what? I'm not going to mess up this opportunity, because I want to show other people that like you can go after your dreams, you can pursue certain things, or you can defeat the odds or on certain things, or and be a light for people that were in a similar situation as me. And so and also, like I knew like my parents like were, worrying about me and stuff, and like it's, the first child that has dipped out and just kind of doing their own thing. Like my parents did not want me to go. Like my mom was so against it. It was so funny. But I mean, it wasn't funny, but it was like, Mom, I'm sorry. Like I gotta spread my wings. I gotta go. I can't be cooped up anymore and not doing anything while I'm watching everyone else pursue and actually making moves to what they want to do. And so I got into the program, and I worked my tail off, like worked it like so you get a stipend. So it's technically basically like you're going to school, but it's really cool. You get a stipend, so it's like what everyone would wish school would be like, where like they actually pay you, and you're not going in debt. So I did it, and then like I got like a leadership award, and really was just really going after it. And after like 6 months, after 6 months of basically you take a really big test, and then if you pass the test, then you get to like kind of go into get an internship for another 6 months. So it's called Year Up because it takes a year, and their main thing is to like help you get a full-time job right off the bat out of the program. And so after 6 months, if you pass the test and you go and you work for an internship, so I passed the test, and then I ended up working for or getting an internship with a marketing company in the John Hancock Center called Jack Morton. Shout out to everyone there. And then from there, I was actually able to speak for a really big event for like Chicago, and like tons of vice presidents there, CEOs, like big name people, and that was really cool. And being like the spokesperson and GM there, and so yeah, it was really cool. And so then after that, but then like I was waiting. I'm like, man, like am I gonna get a job with them? Like this is awesome. And yeah, like it got closer and closer to the end of the internship, and I'm not hearing back. And then finally I hear like, hey, we don't have room in the cap for you. And I'm like, dang. So now what do I do, right? Like, because their goal and their hope is that like the internship that you do, you get a job with them, and if not, then like something similar. But once again, it's like, man, like where am I at now? And so you do get a diploma. It's just as good as like for what you would get for 4 years in college, and that's what's really cool. And so and like some of the internships you can get, or like jobs you can get, is like some people have gotten, I believe, like Google, and like what's the other one? Oh man, I can't even remember, but like some other like big names, and it's not Spotify. Man, oh man, I can't remember what it is. But anyways, yeah, some really cool. Oh, LinkedIn. You can get LinkedIn as well. And so yeah, I was just like, man, like I don't know what I'm gonna do. But then it was cool because I didn't realize that there was a few companies that were waiting to see where I would land. And so I ended up working, did an interview with a real estate investment firm, and got the job. Was making more money than I thought I would ever make at this age. And I was like, man, like I kept persevering, like that whole time, like just persevering, never knowing what was really lying ahead, but knowing that like I got to keep pushing forward and trusting in God. And I actually wanted to, as I kind of stop right here for a second, and we're not coming down for a landing yet, but I wanted to share, like, there's two quotes that, or one's a quote, one's a scripture, but the scripture is in Isaiah 12:2. And it says, "Behold, God is my salvation. I will trust. I will not be afraid. For the Lord God is my strength and my song, and he has become my salvation." And then there's also a quote, and it says, "Success is no accident. It is hard work, perseverance, learning, studying, sacrifice, and most of all, love of what you are doing and learning to do. And man, oh man, like I remember actually like reading those two, and during that time, I was like, okay, it was like one of those things like, all right, I can do this. Like I can keep pushing forward. And so I remember though, like and this is where I might have to like kind of make it a part two, just so it's not like too long. But I was like, man, like I'm not exactly, I was working really hard at during the job. There were some things that were kind of like tough with some of the employees, like, and I just felt like I was like, man, like I'm really working hard here, but like and like anyways, like I'm like, man, I kind of want to do like more like visual stuff. I kind of want to do some more other things. And yeah, it was tough though. It was like I was doing more like Excel sheets, and I was doing more numbers, and which is fine, but like I wasn't waking up every morning like happy. And I'm like, well, there's no way, Steven, that you got this opportunity, got this job, and then you quit, right? There's no way you do that, because then what are you going to do? Like, you're putting yourself right back at ground zero, where you're like, where am I at? And maybe not ground zero, but it's the unknown. And so I think I might come back and do like part two, where it's like, how did you persevere? How did I persevere through even that decision? And so I want this is, perseverance part one, or video two, part one, just of like helping you guys and just like encouraging you guys to, if you are in a state, because right now is COVID, right? And there's tons of people that have lost their jobs, or there's tons of people that are like on the verge of maybe losing their job, or they're trying to find a job. I know my girlfriend right now, she's like trying to find a job, and like it's a tough time because companies don't have, there's a lot of money that's been lost, and they don't have like the luxury of just hiring people very, just, or giving big salaries and stuff. And so having that perseverance, and knowing that like, okay, I can't really see what's in front of me. I can't really see like where I'm headed, but I got to trust that like that things are going to be okay. Like I got to keep pushing hard. Like I can't give up. The thing that saddens me is when people give up. And it's like, oh, like that analogy, and I'll put it up on here, but like that photo where it's like they're hammering for the gold, and they're chipping through, and you have one guy that like walks away sad, and he's like, man, kind of like he was defeated. He worked so hard for so long, and yet he quit. But if he had just done one more, he would have seen the gold. And then, but you have the guy below that found it, that kept pushing through, and just did that one more time and actually found it. And so that can be you. That could be you. There may be a time in my life where I find myself again where I'm like, man, like what am I gonna do? And so that's, I'm gonna bring it down for a landing, so that these aren't super long, so that you can kind of go from one to two, but that's my journey. That was my journey up until I believe that's 3 years ago that we're at now. And I want to share what happened after that, because what happened after that, it was, I really had to go on a leap and have some faith. And if I hadn't already done before, and I had to really just trust, like, okay, all right, you got to get back in the gear. You got to get back to just working super hard, and it's not going to come easy. Success doesn't ever come easy, right? Sometimes for people, if it's just handed to them, but like for most of us, it's not. And so that's where I'm going to stop now. You guys are awesome. Hope you guys come back for the next one. I may even just like, do it later on today, or who knows. But you guys are awesome. My name is Steven Cannon. This is Stavachi Productions. And yeah, I'll talk to you guys in the next one. See ya.